people didn't started directly from RPA, but they have transitioned their career. So was it
Yeah.
something similar with you?
Start the development only once you have the signed version of the
Yeah.
things. Don't start directly jumping into the automation. Just we discuss on the call and I go and I started creating the
Yeah.
automation.
Hi all, welcome to the channel. And today's guest is Mukesh Kala. Mukesh is 3 times UiPath MVP and a UiPath community trainer. And the rest of the introduction, let's have from the guest himself. So Mukesh, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, hi Deepender. First of all, thank you so much for giving this opportunity to be on your platform. My name is Mukesh Kala. I have close to 10 years of experience now in the industry. I'm presently working as an RPA manager with a company called Boundaryless Group. As you have already mentioned, I am 3 times UiPath Most Valuable Professional. I am a certified UiPath trainer, and my majority of the expertise is around the product of UiPath Studio, Orchestrator, or I can say the core of the framework. Uh, my primary contribution to the community is via my tutorials. I have my YouTube channel where I teach
Mhm.
people UiPath, and also my coordination with the student group of UiPath who are trying to get into their journey to this automation field. So that's a bit summary about myself.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. I mean, that's great to hear. Could you please throw some light or
Hmm.
put up your thoughts around the world of RPA, the current world of RPA, how RPA is like benefiting the industries and in the automation space, the entire automation space? What is the role of RPA specifically?
Okay, so when you say RPA, right? So I'm considering that most of the people here are not sure what is RPA. So I'll just break down it into three pieces: robotic process automation, right? Now, process automation was there also previously. It was not like that RPA is doing it, right? You always had process automation. So let's take an example. If you are writing an Excel and you have 10 steps to do in an Excel, you could always write a macro, right? So that's an example of process automation. You are doing something on your PowerPoint, any of that application, and you have something which is doing that things automatically. That's nothing but a kind of automation. How is this RPA new, and what is different about is that it is a technology known as robotic process automation. When I say robots, these are not the walking and the talking robots. We are talking here about the software robots. Now, the biggest advantage of these robots is that first of all, they can work on any application. So if I have to write an automation on Excel, I have to write macro. If I have to write on browser, maybe I am using Selenium or something else. However, if I am doing any process automation with the help of a technology called RPA, it treats that the complete process as a single consolidated view. So I can easily get the data from Excel, put it into the website, get the data, put it into email, go to the database, do everything, right? So the connectivity, or I would say integration between the technology made easier, and the impact which had made it into the industry, or I would say process automation. Now you have a wide horizon, or I would say you have unlimited capabilities to do the automations. You are not only restricted to one kind of automation. And on top of that, if you add AI, ML, and all, your horizon definitely increases. The second thing is the integration. You are now integrated with RPA with all the majority of the Office Suite, Word, Office, PowerPoint, SAP, majority of the enterprise application. Scalable. It's just a matter of click and you can scale it, right? So it has definitely changed a lot in the tech space, and majority of the companies are now looking into the RPA, which is the core for digital transformation, right? So I hope that gives some insights.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty concise and to the point, and hopefully it would benefit the audience. So moving on to the next, I would like to know your journey as an RPA developer. For example, there are stories people didn't started directly from RPA, but they have transitioned their career. So was it
Yeah.
something similar with you? Could you just take me through the entire your education journey and the
Yes,
how did
yes,
you
yes,
move to
absolutely.
RPA?
Yeah. Okay. So I have done my master of computer application, that is in computer field. When I started my career, I never started as an RPA developer. My initial 3 to 4 years of my career were as a .NET developer. I was working as a C# .NET developer, purely into a .NET coding. When
Mhm.
I was working with Deloitte, so there I got an opportunity to see this tool as an RPA tool, and then I found that yes, this is something interesting. And the best part about the RPA RPA tool which I'm primarily using is UiPath. It has the same background of .NET. So I already had the background of .NET. So for me to get into this space was a bit easy. That does not mean that you should always have a programming background, because these are all the low code
Mhm.
automation tools. You can
Mhm.
just drag and drop and write the automation.
Yeah.
However, having a programming background always helps you to understand the concept better. So since
Yeah.
I already had the concepts, I found this tool, I found it lucrative, I was very much interested to do. I
Mhm.
started looking projects in it, and then I shifted my career from a .NET developer to a full-time RPA developer. So that's
So
how I
so
transitioned.
for you, the kind of transition was easy. But however, if someone is
Hmm.
there who does not have a programming background, like any sort of programming background, if they want to break into RPA field as a developer, so what you
Hmm.
suggest for them? Like any guidance in a quick way so that they can get
Okay,
into RPA?
so first of all, right, the role in RPA is not only limited to RPA developer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you are good into coding, if you are interested to build something, you should
Mm-hmm.
always pursue for an RPA developer.
Yep.
If you are, let's say, not comfortable with coding, you can be a
Mm-hmm.
business analyst, you can be a support engineer, you can be in the testing role, right? If you are good into talking, you can understand the requirement, you can be a business analyst,
Yep.
right? It does not require you to have a coding. But
Correct.
let's say you don't have a coding background, still you want to work as a developer,
Mm-hmm.
then you can get started with something which is called low code development platform. You
Mm-hmm.
can get started from there, but at the same time, I will also recommend that you should start learning one of the programming language. It can be Java, it can be C Sharp, it can be VB.NET. If you are trying to work with UiPath, I would personally prefer to use start with VB.NET. I am not saying that you need to be expert in everything, right? At
Mm-hmm.
least the basics concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
String, integer, collection, data tables, how do you loop the elements, right? If you have that concept, start learning UiPath, or I would say do it parallelly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will
Mm-hmm.
get
Yeah.
definitely into a good RPA developer role.
Yeah, thanks for that. Do you have experience with other RPA tools and technology along with UiPath, or how? What is your take on other vendors in the RPA space?
Okay, so my majority of the experience is with UiPath, close to now 6 to 7 odd years. I have been associated with UiPath. I do have
Mm-hmm.
a little bit experience on Microsoft Power Automate, which
Mm-hmm.
is again a Microsoft base, because it's
Mm-hmm.
coming with the Windows. So I had explored it.
Yeah.
So yes, if I compare the different tools, right? So there is no fixed thing that okay, this solution has to be built with this
Mm.
technology, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Before you evaluate and jump to a conclusion, you should see that where use case is actually fitting, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What is the long term support, licensing cost, what is the on premise they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just if I take an example of Microsoft versus this, right? So
Mm.
UiPath has a very good thing which is called selectors, object descriptors, right? So which is not there in Power Automate because it's a new tool, right? But
Yeah.
there are some things which Power Automate is much more better, maybe,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So it entirely depends on the what kind of use case you are dealing with. But personally, I have my majority of experience in UiPath.
So people, what I take from this conversation is like people should not be tool dependent on any tool. Rather, they should
Yeah.
focus on the end goal, and tool just act as an enabler for them.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's say if you are already aware of one tool, right, it is
Mm-hmm.
very easy for you to go and learn the other tool, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
core concepts are exactly the same,
Exactly.
right? It is same like that you already have knowledge of Java and you
Yeah.
want to do something on .NET. Now
Yeah.
you just need to know the syntax,
Yeah.
right? But the main thing is you should have that RPA mindset with you,
Yeah. Yeah. Why
right?
I
So
brought
that's
up this
important.
question is because people get into the dilemma of which tool I should get started, and they get stuck and they don't start only. I mean, I just want the audience,
Yeah,
whoever is watching this, to focus on like you pick whatever
one, yeah,
top three or top five, any one of those tool, get started at least, and then figure it out
yeah.
as per your needs and
Yes.
as per your project opportunities.
Absolutely. And I would say that look for, see, at the end goal of this RPA tool is not to do something which I like, right? It's
Yeah,
something to do which the company is using,
exactly.
right? So if I'm very good at one tool, but nobody is using it, then it again does not make sense, right? So choose the tool which is being there. And if you're looking for some job opportunity, right? Let's say you're trying to join a company, you can always go to their website, you can learn, ask from the people that what tool they are using.
Yeah.
So let's say they say that, hey, I am using UiPath in our company, we are having 100 projects of UiPath, then, and if you're targeting that company, then go start with that tool, right?
Yeah.
But the important thing is to get started.
Exactly. Let's move on to the next question. So you said you have 6 odd years of experience and completely with UiPath. So would you mind sharing some
Hmm.
notable projects that you have worked on? Like
Hmm.
how RPA, like what implementation really you did and how it transformed the processes and the ROIs for the companies and all.
Yeah, so my majority of the experience in the RPA is now from the banking and the financial sector,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, majority of the projects which I have done in my career is from the banking and the financial, also known as the BNFS
Mm-hmm.
part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you talk about the banking process, the main thing in the banking, apart from automation, is that the data sensitivity, right? The data is very sensitive. The second thing is it should be one equal to one. You cannot say
Yeah.
that, okay, my automation did something and it, because a single click, a single number mismatch can have a varied implication, right?
The
But when it
impacts
comes
are
to the
high.
impacts are high,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Data sensitivity is more. You cannot put data simply on the clouds, right?
Yep.
So that's what my primary experience is. And if I want to share you some of the project which is a notable project, is that let's take an example of a bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every bank has to get the rates, right? So let's say I am a bank and I want to know that what are the rates for this currency, this currency, this
Mm-hmm.
currency, which
Yeah. Yeah.
changes every here and there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one currency is one part, then you have something which is called the stock markets, right? So let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
Indian stock market where the
Mm-hmm.
prices are fluctuating, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is one counterpart is your dollar and the rupee rate conversion rate. Then one
Mm-hmm.
counterparty is the stock market where the stock prices are moving here and there. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have third one where is the customers who says that, hey, I want to get information on this thing to feed into the next set of processes, right? So we created an RPA robot which will keep running every, let's say, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the duration, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will get the price of the stocks, it will get the conversion rate, do the maths, give it to the next system. Can be
Mm-hmm.
Excel, SAP, any
Mm-hmm.
of the enterprise application, and then do the reporting, right?
Okay.
So this process is running 24/7 depending on the client customer needs, right? So it was the automation which I'm telling, it's a attended automation. So let's say I am a banker and I want to know the rates. I just go to my desktop, click on that button, it will fetch all this information from different sources, give me the
Mm-hmm.
summary, job done.
Okay.
One of the automation in BNFS.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Hopefully, there will be a learning out of it. Moving on to the next question. What are the challenges you faced in your any of your previous project, like major challenges, or you can
Hmm.
talk about common challenges that are faced by RPA developers. Since this podcast or this chat show we are
Hmm.
running, mostly the end users are RPA developers who would be watching this. So we are discussing what are the common challenges and the strategies to implement a solution around that. So you can discuss something
Okay.
around this. Yeah.
I would say if I talk about the RPA developer, right? So one of the challenge which I have seen is the legacy systems, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you go to a company and you say that, hey, I want to automate this, and the company says this is my application which you have to automate, but this is a very legacy application out of support automation. It is not giving you the proper response to this, right? Though if I talk about UiPath, it is doing pretty good in automating the legacy application also, but somewhere it does not work, right? So integrating sometime with a very old application which is lacking API, not a consistent UI, keeps on failing, right? That becomes one of the challenge. The solution to that would be, first thing, if we can ask the vendor, they can give us a middleware or they can give us something which is called API to
Mhm.
access that system, right?
Yeah.
The second problem, this was one of the problem, it may or may not relate, but the second
Yeah.
problem which all of us can relate is the process viability, which simply
Mhm.
means that if I ask you, give me the process, right?
Mhm.
And most of the times whenever we start with the process, it the people, or I would say the customer who is giving us the process, might not be able to give us the complete requirement,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the role where your business analyst come in picture to ask the correct set of questions. Because
Mhm.
whenever you are explaining me something, you tend to feel like that, okay, this is very much common, right, and
Yeah.
self explanatory, so they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Once you start the development, then they come up with something like, hey, we wanted to handle this exception, we wanted to have this, we wanted to have this, right? This is not working. right? So small things, right? So that is
Mm-hmm.
where the important role comes of the business analyst, who asks the correct set of questions at the correct time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, as an RPA developer, you're always going to face that challenge, that what should I
Mm-hmm.
do,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you are working for a small firm, right, that is the third challenge which I'm going to talk about. If you're working on a small firm who have just started their RPA, right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you might face a challenge of scalability, or I would say bot maintenance, right? Let's say
Mm-hmm.
you are just a developer of two people. You did something, you put it on the production, it's working fine for 1 week, you move to the next project.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after 1 week, that process break. You're
Yeah.
already in a new project. Who is going to fix that?
Yeah.
If you go there, your live project suffers. If you
Yeah.
don't go there, that customer is giving you a hard time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means that every company should have something which is called change management, scalability, right? So these are some of the challenges which you can actually think of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you have solutions for everything.
Yeah. 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 So the
So
process and
that's what
all.
came to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The process and all, the ITIL process and the change management and the segregation of the team, like COE implementation and the
Yes.
support team is different. Developer team is working on the current pipeline. They are a different set of people. Those and all work with I think a larger organization. But
Yeah.
if we consider the smaller organization, they still go with the same set of people due to, I'm not sure, XYZ reasons. But yeah,
Hmm.
from development point of view, it is a challenge for a developer then to build the existing bot as well and support the
Yes.
already built bot. So yeah.
Right. And if it increases, and if both
Yeah.
the processes are critical, then it fallbacks on the developer, right? So it should
Yeah.
not happen.
It
It
should
should
not
not
happen.
happen. That's
Yeah.
why it
Yeah.
should be in a planned phase manner,
Exactly.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
where your planning and all comes in picture.
Mm-hmm.
Different,
Yeah.
altogether a
Yeah.
different topic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Would you like to share any best practices over a period of 6 years that you have been following or you have
Hmm.
learned, like the
Hmm.
insights on the efficient bot design, scalability of the bot, coding
Hmm.
standards, testing approach? So all in a nutshell, like everything related to RPA development, what
Hmm.
would be your best practices?
Okay, so apart from that, first thing that you get the documents and all, right? So I would
Mm.
always suggest RPA developers that start the development only once you have the signed version of the
Yeah.
things. Don't start
Yeah.
directly jumping into the automation. Just we discuss on the call and I go and I started creating the
Yeah.
automation.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We start the development once every document is signed off. When I mean sign off, I mean the process sign off,
Mm.
solution design sign off, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
second thing, which is for RP developer, the common mistake is that people always automate the same thing which the human is doing, right? So if the human
Mm-hmm.
is doing step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a junior developer, I used to also code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means that exactly same thing as is, and the to be is same.
Yeah.
But as an RPA developer, the first step for you is to process simplification, where you need to be able to simplify the process.
Yeah.
It is not always mandatory that you can always simplify, but that
Yeah.
yes, there are always way to simplify the process. As a
Mm-hmm.
human, if I have to do an Excel, I may be doing it in, let's say I give you a simple task that you have to read an Excel and
Mm-hmm.
paste it into 10 sheets. As a
Mm-hmm.
human, you copy it,
Yeah.
take the first 10, paste 10, so total you have 11 steps. But
Yeah.
when the robot is doing it, I can use intelligent, I can read the complete data, split it,
Yeah.
paste it parallelly, right?
Correct. Correct.
Only 3 steps,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So basically what I have done is I'm not doing the repetitive steps, whereas in UiPath we have activities, we have APIs, we have link queues and all, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can do that and you can simplify the process, right? Simplifying the process does not only mean via coding, it
Yeah.
also mean via the business process, right?
Exactly.
Because the business might be doing the same set of steps. So as an RPA developer,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to understand that which part of the process is not required,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Rather than
What is the
following
piece?
the linear,
Yes,
sorry to chip in.
right.
So rather
Yeah,
than following the linear approach as human would do, we
yeah,
can always redesign the process and
exactly.
do it
Right.
in an efficient way. Yeah, that's a very good point.
That's called the to be process. That's called the
Yeah.
to be process, right?
Yeah.
How the
Yeah.
robot is going to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this would only come in picture, which is the next best practice, or I would say suggestion would be that whenever you start the process as a developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
First do the process manually. That's what I tell to all my junior developers as well, right?
Yeah.
Before you even touch, go to the code, first do the process manually with a step-by-step manner with getting all the input file. If you are
Mm-hmm.
able to do it manually and you are able to reach the output, you would be able to code it via the automation also. Otherwise, what will happen? You will simply land up in a situation where you're just reading the PDD, you're doing it, reading the PDD, doing it, and you yourself
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you are doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So complete knowledge, complete picture should be there in your mind, that what is my climax of this automation.
Mm.
Then only you would be able to simplify it.
And that would,
Right. So
yeah, that would
yeah.
help, like you to imagine yourself in in a business person's shoes. Like you see
Yes.
yourself what are the pain areas the business are facing with while doing this repetitive work. That's
Yeah.
another way of looking at the problem. So yeah, very
Correct.
good point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so these are the some of the things, right, which you can do whenever you start
Mm-hmm.
automating a process. And
Mm-hmm.
best practice again, right? So you have all the best practices. Just you can Google it. I
Yeah.
also have talked about best practices in many of my
Mm-hmm.
videos. So
Mm-hmm.
best practice again are technical best practice are available over the internet. You can just do a Google search and you'll get the complete list.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, those are the common ones which we follow for
yes,
any while starting any of the project, like configuration and all. But yeah, the one which you talked about are totally based on the experience, which might be useful, right? So
yeah.
yeah, thanks for sharing that. Now moving on to the next section is like how you see RPA, future of RPA, and the emerging trend around it. For example, in past 3 or 4 months, like you might be witnessing, everybody is talking about AI, ML, AI integration
Hmm,
with RPA, and it's like becoming a like boom, right? AI,
hmm.
intelligent automation or hyper automation. But how do you see in on actual ground? How do you see the future of RPA, and what would be the impact of these technologies?
See, first of all, impact wise, people always treat it as RPA versus AI. Right?
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that RPA is one technology, AI is one technology. If I can do with this, right? So for me, it's not RPA versus AI, it's RPA plus AI,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I just give you a basic thought, right? So let's say I have an AI model which has to work on a huge set of data. Now that huge set of data is embedded inside your email into attachments,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you see it as a process, right? If you see as a process owner or a technical solution manager, I would say an architect, right? What you will do? You will write an RPA robot, which will read the email, download the attachment, extract the information, keep it in a format which the AI model can read, and then give the information. If you
Exactly.
remove RPA from this picture, right? Somebody has to manually sit, go to those email, extract
Mm-hmm.
the information, right? So that is one part of it. So that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
RPA plus AI, right? The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is how it is it benefiting? Yes, definitely it is benefiting, right? So if I tell about some of the use cases, let's talk about invoices:
Mm-hmm.
structured, semi-structured, non-structured, right? Unstructured,
Mm-hmm.
handwritten, data in different format, right? You have OCR's technology, you have all this technology, but what about the invoices which are absolutely unstructured, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there
Mm-hmm.
is nothing.
Yeah.
That's where your AI and ML come in picture. You have the generative AI, which is very popular nowadays. You have the
Yeah.
generative AI plugins there. You
Yeah.
use those with RP and you extract the information, right? So it's
Exactly.
always a plus and it is always going to create new use cases.
Mm-hmm.
The on the top of it, if you see, it has got integrations to the newer technology, not in the AI ML space, but with kind of a chatbots,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can create robot or I can create solution where you can talk to your documents,
Mhm, mhm,
right? Where I can talk to a document. So let's say you give me an article which is a PDF of 100 pages. I
mhm,
do not want to read the 100 pages. I use RPA, I
mhm,
use GenAI, I use a
mhm.
chatbot, maybe UiPath apps or anything, right? In the interface.
Yeah,
Complete solution. I just ask my question, hey, who is the father of this guy in this document?
yeah.
When was this person born? What is the total? Right?
Mhm,
And this automation can be built by using just drag and drop activities without writing any piece of code,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So to give you an example, this same automation I did with UiPath built-in capabilities of
Mhm,
one generative AI activity, one
mhm.
PDF activity, and one pop-up.
Yeah.
And it took me only 5 to 6 activities, and I was able to build this complete solution, right? It might be sounding that it's a very big solution,
Mhm.
but with this collaboration, it was
Yeah.
built within 7 to 8 activities. It's
Yeah,
as simple as that,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Similar to this, I as well did in
Yes.
Automation 360. But yeah,
Yeah.
most of the majority of the RPA platforms already support the plugins which allow us to talk to the generative AI and through APIs.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
then the conclusion or the basis of this discussion is like AI is an enabler or AI
Yeah.
complements RPA in that sense.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
complements RPA. Yes.
cool. So So, like next question is based on the same thing. So, RPA developers. So, first of all, the developers who are developing RPA bot should get
Hmm.
started into AI field as well. They should have the knowledge how to use it. Like I am not saying they should know or learn the
Hmm.
algorithms of AI ML model, but they should at least know how to use the AI technology and what the different AI technologies are there around. So, what is your take? How they
Yes.
can get started?
See, if
Yeah.
you talk about AI tools, right, there are a lot of AI tools,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I talk somebody, you have generative AI, you have
Mm-hmm.
Azure, you have Microsoft.
Yeah.
Sorry, Microsoft is Azure. Then you have Amazon who is providing this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have different vendors, right?
Correct.
Now your use case cannot be solved by one technology. I cannot say that, hey, this is my AI use case and I am going to use this technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. Different technology will give you different results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might be very good at reading a large set of documents,
Yeah.
right? LLMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might be very good at the language conversion, where you
Mm-hmm.
convert it from Chinese to English.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody might be very good at reading the scanned PDF, but not good at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that as an RPA developer, if I'm getting started, at least I should know which tool has what capability.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a invoice which I
Mm-hmm.
have to read,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting the proper input with my RPA tool. Now I have to start exploring. So at least I should know that, okay, Azure has a functionality for this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Amazon has a functionality for this. Gen AI has a API for this,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
how to use that, how to get the license, that is the second part.
Yeah.
But at least I know that there is something which I can utilize, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can always do a Google search. So
Mm-hmm.
for an RPA developer, to answer your question, you don't need to be expert in all the fields. That's not possible. But
Yeah.
at least you should be aware of basics of what are the capabilities that AI tool is providing. That
Mm-hmm.
is enough for you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Moving on to the next question, probably the last one.
Okay.
So, what would be your advice for aspiring RPA developers who want to break into this field of RPA?
The first thing which I always see with majority of the beginners is that they directly go and start creating the automations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of comments that, hey, I am creating this automation and I'm not able to do this, right? So what they do
Mm-hmm.
is they see a video and they directly started creating the entire use case, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you don't know the ABCDs and you are directly going to write sentences,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
can write the sentences. That's not false, but
Mm-hmm.
would it be good? No, right? Because you
No.
don't know the basics.
Yeah.
So first, I would always tell people that you should start from the basics. If
Mm-hmm.
your basics are clear, you can learn anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
if your basics are not clear and you are directly touching the AI, ML use cases, chatbots, you can build it, no doubt. But if your basics are not clear, then you would struggle in very small things, right? I'm
Yeah.
getting this
Yeah.
error, this
Yeah. Yeah.
variable is not getting the
Mm-hmm.
value, this is null, what should I do, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
because your basics are not clear. So step
Yeah.
one, basic should be clear, right? And
Mm-hmm.
do not start everything in parallel, right? Have a plan, have
Mm-hmm.
a plan for the learning, right? It should not like that, okay, today I started learning basics of RP and tomorrow I'm starting learning Gen AI. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
No.
going to work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Start with a plan where I say that, okay, first I'll do the basics, then I'll go to the next step, which is the management orchestrator side of it, then I'll go to the transaction management, then I'll go this, right? Learning journey you should be able to track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Third thing, start with any of the programming language. It can
Yeah.
be C sharp, it can be VB.NET, it can be Java, Python in case you are more interested to learn and all. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to looking for an particularly RPA UiPath developer, I would suggest start with VB.NET. Not an expert by just having the basic thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fourth thing is um, your ability to think critical and answer the questions. If I
Mm-hmm.
suddenly give you a problem, you should not feel that, okay, I don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have a skill to solve the problems. You should have a skill to search Google and get the answer, right?
Mm, yeah.
Today you ask me a question, I don't know, right? You ask me a technical question, I may not be 100% sure that how do
Yeah.
you do it, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody cannot, but at least I know that how to search Google that error
Yeah.
and what solution Google is going to give me, how to put that in my sequence,
Yeah.
right? That is also a skill.
Yeah. That's
And to
the
get this, the
approach.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the approach,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And one more thing is that you should be always connected to what's happening in the tool, where the tool is moving, right? So let's say you
Mm-hmm.
started your RP journey 2 years back. Now, if you come to UiPath and you see there are a lot of tools, lot of products, you should be always get touch with the tool, whatever where it is heading to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Roadmaps
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
product roadmap. And the last thing is people ask that, okay, you have told me everything, but how do I practice? Where do I get this? Right? You can go to the forums, such as UiPath forum, any of the RPA forum, right? Where people post their queries. You might not be able to answer that, but at least read what is the problem that developer is facing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can I take something from that? If you are able to answer, try to answer that question. Right. So UiPath has a forum which is called UiPath Forum, where every day a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are posting problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might not be able to understand all, but if you read it, you know that okay, this is the problem. If you are
Yeah,
able to solve it. If not, at least read how other people have solved it.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So you
yeah,
would get an idea that okay, if this was the problem statement, this is how I can do it.
yeah,
You can also learn that how that guy has asked the question, how the other guy is responding, what are the different approaches, right? So at least if you read 5 questions one day, right, you would have a good source of knowledge with you technically.
yeah, yeah.
So that would be my some suggestions.
Few cents, but yeah, those are really worth it.
Yeah.
And thanks Mukesh for sharing your valuable insights and the experience that you bring in this field. And I would encourage audiences to follow you. They might already be following you, but I would say I'll mention your links and the LinkedIn profile so that they can reach out to you in case they have any question specific to UiPath. I would like to thank you for like making this possible for out of your busy schedule, accepting the invite and getting on the show. Thanks, really, thanks for that. Any
Thank
any
you, Dipender.
closing any closing statement from your side? How did you like? What is your experience about this meet
No,
or
no, it's
this chat
always
show?
good. It's always good. Yeah, thank you first of all, Dipender, for inviting me to your audience and giving me this opportunity to speak on RPA. It's always good to talk about RPA and to the people who are getting started.
Yeah.
So the last closing words would be, guys, if you are getting started with RPA, UiPath, I mean, I'm not an expert in the other tools, right? Anything you
Mhm.
require on RPA, UiPath, you are getting stuck, need help, reach out to me. I have my channel, my email ID is also available, right? Feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help you guys there. So that's it.
So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll come up with such more RPA chat shows in the future. Till then, thanks all. Bye
Great.
bye.